And I'm gonna go live in 3, 2.
We think about the rich history that exists here in Bulgaria as far as aromatic plants are concerned, but it's also very sad to see how that history has changed, how these aromatic plants have stopped being grown.
A farmer can make, 5 to 7 times more through producing lavender with a good distiller than they will producing corn or wheat. So we're able to provide better jobs for the farmers here. There's hundreds of farmers' lives are going to be impacted in years to come through our distillery and these beautiful lavender fields that are going to be more plentiful than ever in the years to come.
We are here to cooperate with our partners, with the people from the area, and we are here to make their life better and our life better.
Okay, welcome everybody to today's webinar. We are so grateful that you guys all took the time to come and listen to this webinar as we share all about content calendar planning and why it is so important for your business. We want you to comment where you're joining in from. We love to see where everyone is joining. And without further ado, we will get started with our webinar today. I just wanted to introduce myself first. I am Brianna Butters. I am the social media marketing specialist here at doTERRA Corporate. And I also get the honor of helping with the doTERRA social platform. And then also on today's call, we have Raquel. She is the VP of Customer Success at Promo Republic, and they are the company behind doTERRA Social. They do so much for us, so we're grateful for them. She also has a couple of her team members on doing an awesome job with the questions. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A and they will help you with that. So for the webinar today, we have 4 main things that we are going to focus on. The first is we're going to discuss why planning is so important for social media. And then we're going to help you guys understand the planning process and what all goes into that. We're also going to talk about content calendar, how to create that, and how to stay organized. And then lastly, we will kind of walk through the doTERRA social platform and tell you how that tool can help you with content calendar planning. So let's get right into it. We want to start out with just a quick fact and just an informational piece that planning improves social media consistency, engagement, and effectiveness. Those 3 things, consistency, engagement, and effectiveness, are huge in social media, and it is ultimately what makes or break a successful social media page. So we're going to dive into each of those aspects a little bit more. But yeah, I'll let Raquel kind of take over the first point in today's webinar.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brianna, and hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today. We have a lot to dive into, but my favorite thing to do is always add that context and background and the why behind social media, because that's what we do together. Uh, so it's really important to balance your day to day, and your content is no exception when it comes to that. Because when you're planning your social media, when you plan in advance, you're saving time, you're able to be consistent across the platforms that you choose to engage in and time zones and things like that. You can also keep your calendar organized. You can incorporate the time sensitive aspects, such as any sales or BOGOs or anything, as mentioned, time sensitive. So it is really important that we are able to dedicate some time and batch. So batching just means that you're taking the time to specifically write down a bunch of ideas or social media content at once. This is a really time efficient way to write content. You get more out of it. And as you are brainstorming and writing down your ideas, you're also able to plan and execute directly in doTERRA Social. So creating one post can quickly become 5 or 10, and you're scheduling out a week or 2 without really adding more time in your day. And that also means you're not constantly having social media noise at the back of your head. And what we mean by that is you're not always thinking about, okay, I need to be on social, I need to post this, I need to think of this on how I can advance my doTERRA journey. So that is really important. And as with any habit or any process that we're diving into, consistency is definitely key, and it is a non-negotiable for long-term success. It doesn't have to be every day. We know that that's not always realistic. That's why planning really comes in to this, and setting and forgetting content, which we'll discuss later today. But when you're creating a content calendar, we want to see you creating certain posts per day or week, or whatever that cadence works for you. If it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or every day, if that is something that you're able to keep up with, that is fantastic. So we want you to use the content calendar, couple that with your planning, and that will yield you consistency across the board. And we know that we pepper in BOGOs or holiday content, leadership content, or convention content. And that's really time sensitive, as we know. And we want you to get the most out of these campaigns. So when you're planning your content, it's always great to leave some gaps in the event that you want to pepper in some of the doTERRA branded content. So planning is the first step, and it may be cumbersome. You may have to think, oh, like, I don't know what to do, but it's just really sitting down, jotting your ideas and goals, and then growing from there. And I always, like I said, give that extra content. So when we're thinking of, okay, what strategy is more likely to succeed? Is it chaotic social media content that's written and posted off the cuff whenever inspiration strikes? Or B, identifying your goals, creating content in advance that aligns with those goals and furthers that? We kind of know that B is definitely going to take over. That doesn't mean you can't be spontaneous, or if you're wanting to incorporate any time sensitive promotions, you can't do so. Of course, we want you to be your authentic self on social media, but your social media marketing strategy is all about what you want to achieve and how you'll get there. So content planning is really this important kickstart of the process, and the goals are really going to help you get there overall. So what we've done is, as Brianna mentioned for the agenda, identified a few steps that break it down easily, hopefully, to set these goals and to be active on social. So I'll hand it over to Brianna, who can highlight the first step.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so overview, there will be 3 steps. So the first step is to choose your social platforms. Now, you don't have to be on all of them. There are a ton out there, and not all of them are going to be for you or to match your audience. So there's 3 things we have to help you kind of consider what social media platform you maybe want to start or want to join. So the first thing to consider is your audience. Where do your potential customers hang out? What kind of demographics are going to be geared toward your audience? That will be a big play into what platform you decide to join. The next one is time. How much time do you have to devote to that social network? A general rule of thumb is to plan on at least 1 hour per day per social network. So, kind of thinking about how much time do you have to give to those social platforms is super important. And then lastly is resources. So each platform requires different things. For example, networks like TikTok emphasize a lot of consistency and relevant content. Visual platforms like Instagram and Pinterest require a lot of images and videos. So you have to ask yourself, do I have those resources to create those videos, to create those images? What kind of skills and tools do I have to help me achieve being successful on that platform? So that's kind of the first step, is just choosing where you want to start. And then step 2 is filling out and completing your profiles. So I just want to stress, first of all, the importance of a social media account, especially for a business. It shows professionalism and impresses your audience. So a social account is very, very effective. And once again, there's 3 things to kind of help you consider when you are completing your account and filling it out. The first one is cover photos. If you stay consistent with your cover photos on your Facebook and Instagram accounts, then it helps people recognize you a lot better if your cover photo is consistent. The next one is keywords and fresh language, and these play into a bio. So bios are actually very important as well. It's the first thing that people see when they come to your account. And it can either make or break whether they follow you, if they're interested in you. So having important keywords and fresh language is very important for those bios. And bios get you a ton of exposure to grow your audience. So that is just a huge part of completing that profile and filling that out. So yeah, that's kind of the second part, is filling out and completing that profile. And then final step 3 is picking your posting strategy. So there's some key questions to consider. As you can see on the screen, a couple of them are: how often should you post, when should you post, and what should you post? And ultimately, it just depends. It depends on your audience and kind of what they are wanting to see. So a lot of people kind of mix up content strategy and content planning, and those are 2 different things. Although they do have very similar names, they often are mistaken for one another. And so a content plan, again, is not the same thing as a content strategy. And yes, you do need both. So what is the difference? So the main thing you want to know is this: the content strategy is what defines your platform. And then the content plan is what determines when and where you'll use various assets, and it helps you reach those end goals. So now that we've gone through each 3 of those steps, Raquel is going to now kind of cover the how and when of posting.
Yeah, thank you, Brianna, and thank you for summarizing that so efficiently. We talked about this at the beginning, how often you should post is a bit subjective based on what you want to do. And we definitely have to remember, as we discussed before, that social media and your social media journey is all about you, what you're comfortable with, and what you'd like to do. So when we're talking about that, what you see on the screen in front of you are best practices based on the norms of each social media platform. And once you've been posting for a while, you can see the results from your own data directly in doTERRA Social. We highlight the best posting times, the most effective times for engagement for you across all of the platforms. So if you ever find yourself posting less or more, then we can find that sweet spot that works well for you and that you like to do. With that said, let's get into it, because as you can see, it greatly varies from platform to platform. So as mentioned, the first step is finding out the platform that is right for you. And then the second area is how often you should post. So on Facebook, we're at 1 to 2 times per week. On Instagram, we're at 4 to 5 times per week, and hopefully incorporating at least one reel into that. And again, doTERRA Social makes this easy with not only ability to post to reels, but in the asset library, there are a lot of ready to go reels for you to incorporate. TikTok about once a week, on X/Twitter, 1 to 2 times a day, and LinkedIn about 3 to 4 times a week. And again, not all of these social medias may be relevant for your goals. You're going to choose the one that matters to you, where you believe your audience is, and what you like to do. So that is how often you should post. Coupling that, we have when you should post. So again, this does vary from time to time, from person to person, time zone, etc. So these are just general best practices for each platform. And the best advice that we can give you is start posting and then dive into doTERRA Social, look at your analytics, because we will be crunching those numbers for you to say, yes, this time is a great time for you to post. Or maybe you're not getting as many likes or comments on the post as normal because you're posting at a different time. So you can use this as a framework and then find what is really your specific posting time. So again, going from left to right, the best posting time for Facebook is Tuesday to Thursday between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. So when we talk about Facebook, that is the middle of the working week in the morning shift for your time zone. Contrast that with Instagram, where you have the working days, specifically the evenings between 6 and 9 p.m. That's typically when most scrolling activity happens. So that's when you want to be posting. So that way you're getting maximum likes. And then also for Instagram, we have the weekend. So 8 to 10 a.m. on Saturday and then 10 to 12 on Sunday. And we can see that as the scrolling time on the weekend when you wake up, being a little lazier in bed, for both of those days. TikTok kind of follows a similar structure, but with more available hours. On work days, you're posting between 6 and 10 a.m. or 7 and 11 p.m. And then on the weekend, we have about 4 p.m. posting. Then on X or Twitter, we have Monday through Thursday from 8 to 2 and Friday 9 to 12. So again, maximizing that working day early posting. Then on LinkedIn, that is going to be even earlier between 7 and 8:30 or later between 5 and 6. So I'm hoping this does give you a better idea of when you should be posting and at what time, because this is going to be, again, an experiment on finding what works for you, what you prefer, and how to go from there. Passing the mic over to Brianna about talking about what you should post.
Yeah, thank you. That information is very valuable and helpful. So I hope you guys all kind of took notes on that. But now we're going to kind of talk about the kind of content you should post. We love sharing about the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule divides your content into 2 categories. The first being content that's meant to engage, educate, and inform. as well as entertain your audience. So that's such things as like interactions, followers, retweets, shares, and that's going to be 80% of your content. And then the next 20% is going to be content that's meant to drive conversations and sell your product. So varying your content to help keep your followers engaged is very important. And so that's why we love following this 80-20% rule. And then as well as that rule, it's also just important to, like I mentioned, create a mix of social content. So a general rule that we kind of like to follow is planning a month ahead. So there's multiple things you consider when you are planning a month ahead that can kind of be overwhelming at times, not knowing what could come up or what to post for a whole month. But we have a couple points that may help you with that. So some questions maybe to consider when planning for a month ahead is looking at what events and launches are coming up. Are there any events like convention? Are there any new products being released that I can talk about? Thinking about those two things. And then next, kind of thinking in mind, what are my goals for this month? What kind of content can I create to achieve those goals? And then maybe there's something that is coming that you need to reserve space for. So maybe there's a product launch on the first of the month, and maybe you need to reserve that day for just that product launch. And then next, maybe there's some experiments you want to run. Maybe you want to try posting all reels for a week, or maybe you want to see if a story does better than a post. Those kind of experiments are things that you might want to think about when you are planning your month ahead. So those are just kind of some rules and tips that we have for that. And then we also have a couple other bullet points, just some information maybe to also help you know what you should post. So kind of similar to the events and products, think about what kind of campaigns are going on. So at doTERRA, we have like our quarterly campaigns. This quarter is more focused on reducing toxicity. So what kind of posts could I create that relate to reducing toxicity? Another thing to consider is maybe embracing videos. There is a lot of data that shows how important videos are on social media. Videos and reels do the best out of any other kind of content. So keeping in mind, maybe I want to throw in some reels and TikToks, some video posts. Those are some things you can consider. And then the last couple bullet points, maybe you want to create some content on how-tos or educational entertainment videos featuring products. Polls and quizzes do great in stories. It keeps your customers engaged when they're going through those stories. And maybe also you want to host a contest or a giveaway. Those are always super fun and a great way to expand your audience. And then also people just love the behind the scenes. So if there's any behind the scenes stuff that you are doing, I would definitely recommend sharing about that. And over to the right here, we have found a survey that was done by HubSpot Consumer Trends, and this is a very interesting. I love how 49% of the survey participants found that funny content is what is most interesting and memorable to them. So once again, it's that lighthearted, fun content that is more towards the engagement instead of actually focusing on selling the product. And then you can also see the following data: 36% relatable, and so on. So yeah, those are just some of our helpful tips that we hope maybe you can implement when you are thinking about what you should post, because there's a lot of things that are possible that you could post. And so kind of narrowing it down to those points hopefully will be helpful for you guys. So now that we've kind of walked you through the basics of content planning, we're gonna show you how the doTERRA social platform itself can help contribute to that. And so Raquel is going to now take us over with that part.
Yeah, thank you. So as mentioned, and we've talked about it a few times today, doTERRA Social is a really great tool that helps you plan ahead, get access to content, and really make your social media posting journey easier. And we're really proud to have been such long-standing partners of doTERRA in this space. The first section, which we're going to dive into live, that I do want to spend some time on, is going to be the content section. I know Brenna and her team have put a lot of time and effort into this and defining this. So if you're ever trying to sit down and plan, like we said, being proactive about your social media journey, this is the first place that you'd go. And you have a lot of inspiration here. You can post as is, you have suggested content. There's a lot of things in here that are all in one place and really easy to schedule one post, create your caption and another and another. So it's really easy to dive into. Then we have your calendar. Again, this is your social media. You own this. So you're able to post what you want. You will receive, by being a member of the doTERRA social community, posts suggested directly into your calendar, as you see here. It is your choice if you choose to approve them or not. You can rearrange them. You can create your own captions, etc. So this is a really easy way to start that planning process, and you could, of course, approve them as is, or you can add your own personal touch or logos or personal branding to absolutely everything. So we have all of that at your fingertips in your calendar. And as mentioned, customizing, adding your personal touch. We have a built-in graphics editor loaded with doTERRA content that is here for you to drag and drop and edit and just create absolutely anything that you would like on your branding. And it doesn't have to just be editing existing doTERRA content. You can, of course, create your own post completely from scratch, and you will not run out of ideas, time, etc. So our editor is definitely a crowd favorite. And a fun fact is that this section of the platform is one of the most widely utilized of the entire doTERRA social platform, which means that we have a lot of wellness advocates always adding their personal touch to their content, which we love to see. And then, as mentioned, the platform actually does the hard work of crunching all of the social media data for you. So if you look into the platform, go into your analytics section, see what your top performing posts are, you can really get an understanding of what works well as we break down the top time of posting for you. So you see all of that here. So again, just to summarize before diving into the platform itself, we're combining everything in one place. So we have content at your fingertips, scheduling, and you can plan as far into the advance as you'd like. We have analytics, and then you can do all of this on the go via our mobile app. So it is quite comprehensive and all in one. So we're not going to go over the full platform today, but we will dive into our top areas. We did have a question in the beginning on how do you log in, and that is going to be with your doTERRA ID. If I log out quickly, you can see here it says continue with doTERRA login. You select that, then you log in with your doTERRA ID. I'm logging into a demo account right now. These are all, fake pages with no data. But when you're coming in here for the first time, the first step that you do is connect your social media pages. So as we discussed today, the first step of your social journey is to choose what pages are going to work for you. That's what you can do here. You can connect your Facebook page, Instagram business page, TikTok, etc. And then from there, we go into the calendar where you have upcoming events to draw inspiration from. You have a blank slate. you have again our amazing content section. So what I would actually love to do is invite Brianna back in, and she can go over the different style of content that we have here and hopefully answer a little bit more of your questions.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so as we can first see on the left, we'll first go into the monthly templates. Each month we have posts and stories created for, promos or special product launches. So we've got a lot about MetaPower Recharge this month, as that's still a new product. We've got lemon and a boat, as those are the monthly oils. And then we also just have some fun educational content and diffuser blends. So each month we've got 60 new pieces of content coming your way. So that's our monthly content. And then if we go next, we'll look at the MetaPower Recharge folder. This is just where you can easily access all of the content that's been made for MetaPower Recharge. So instead of having to search all over, we have a specific folder just for this. So that's easy for you guys, and you can go to it whenever you would like. And then we also have Reels and TikToks. This is constantly being updated. We know that Reels and TikToks are huge right now, so we're trying our hardest to get as much as we can into this folder. But this folder is great. It has pre-made Reels and TikToks for you with captions. The only thing you guys have to do is add in music when you upload it to your platform. And music adds a lot of value to the Reels and TikToks. So always make sure to check on this folder. We've got a lot of good stuff, and we know that Reels and TikToks are huge. So we're always trying to improve that folder. And then we've got a couple different ones. We've got, usually when we have convention, we'll have a convention folder. We've got GIFs, we've got campaigns, story covers. We have specific products that we're going to start focusing on. We are trying to organize this platform, so we're trying to make sure all of the content is more available for you to use. So yeah, we've got lots of recipes and DIYs. We just have a plethora of content that is always at your fingertips. And so we hope that you guys take, maybe 10 minutes to kind of go through and explore all that is available to you. So, yeah, we always hope and are open to feedback on content that you guys are looking for and needing. But yeah, this is the place where you can find all of the amazing content that we have for you.
Yeah, thank you so much for going over that. And I always think it's a really great refresher to just come in here, take a look at the content that we have. And as we said on the webinar earlier, you want to be planning, sitting down for 5 minutes. I cannot recommend the same here. Spend 5-10 minutes going folder by folder, seeing what we have. You can see we have Spanish content, we have content for different markets. If you're not seeing content here, always feel free to get in touch with our support team, which is on the bottom right-hand side. You can message us and our team will respond within a few hours or less, obviously. So this is, we always love your feedback and we always can grow. But what I definitely want to highlight before we close out today is the analytics section. My section's not so great, again, because I am in a demo environment, so I do apologize, but I just want to show you where this lives so you can come in here and find the content that works for you. So let's say you're posting regularly and it's going really well. You can see it will highlight your follower growth, impressions, and it also highlights your demographics at the bottom. Again, I apologize, I'm in a demo environment. But what I really want to spend time on is this content section. We spoke about frequency of posting as well as time of posting. You can see this will summarize the number of posts that you publish. Is it doing well? Is it performing well? But this graph is what I want you to come in and check maybe once a week or once a month, which will highlight your best posting times. So the more that you're posting content and obviously posting through doTERRA Social, you will see different shades of blue here. The darker blue that you see populating in these time slots are going to be the content that is yielding the most engagement. So if we're seeing a lot of blue across like 12 p.m., maybe I need to start posting more during lunch because that's what's going to be yielding through this. So I see a question on the posting capabilities. You can, of course, post directly from desktop. You can post directly from here. One way you can do that is by finding a template that works for you. You can see the caption. I happen to select a European one, and then you schedule. Or you can do this on the mobile app. So you can, of course, use this on your computer or mobile. In terms of languages, we always recommend that you reach out to your market because we work closely with each market head, like Brianna in the US, and the team in Europe and Australia, New Zealand, etc. So you can always let us know in the support team, and we'll see how we can bring more diverse content to your specific market. So really great questions. And just in terms of logistics, I did see a question about personal Facebook questions. So our platform is specifically for Facebook business pages, and that's the same due to Facebook restrictions for any third-party platform. So it is a Facebook business page. So the last thing that I want to highlight about doTERRA Social, because I do see a question on it, is going to be the pricing. So if you go into the platform, you log in with your doTERRA ID. If you have not used doTERRA Social before, you unlock a 2-week free trial. After that, you sign up for the plan that you want. They're all exactly the same. The only difference between them is the number of social profiles that you can have in each plan. So if you just have one Facebook business page and one Instagram page, that's going to be to starter. But if I have a lot of Pinterest boards, Instagram pages, etc., I can go to Pro, Guru, or Expert to find what really means for me. So this is going to be really that one resource for everything. And I see some questions on resources that we have here. So feel free to screenshot this. This is absolutely everything associated with doTERRA Social, where it lives, how to reach our support team, the landing page, which has all of our upcoming information, news, tutorials, trainings, and then our Facebook community group is just doTERRA Social. So with that, I'm happy to invite Brandon back in, and we can go from there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all that information. And as always, we do have this recorded, so we will be posting the recording to the doTERRA Business YouTube page very quickly hereafter, as well as the Facebook group. If you aren't a part of our Facebook group, we'd love to have you join. We post updates on there, and it's also a place for questions and answers. So you can find us there. So we'll get that recording out to you guys all shortly in case you missed anything or want to rewatch or even send it on over to your teams. But we just want to thank everybody once again for taking the time today and joining us. We hope you guys found this valuable and hopefully learned something new about doTERRA Social and content planning. But we will just see you guys next time and look out for our next webinar announcement. But yeah, we hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much.